Alright, well, Talia still coming through from SKTelecom. Don't want that in for Fly either. But
KT just need a hell of a first, but they need a game breaker. They need a playmaker from the mid lane especially. So I'm going to look to Fly, who's been capable this series, but not actually been the game breaker that he has been so recently. And it was Fly. You think about Fly versus Faker in spring, and it made sense this was a 3-0 to SKT. SKT were in a great run of form, and Fly was a very defensive mid lane player. Fly has been aggressive. Fly has been playmaking up to this series, and I guess it's another one of those stories where a lot of mid laners look great until they meet SKT, and let's see if Fly can break out of that trend.
KT's going to first pick Gangplank, is what's going to happen here.
Yeah, Karma gets banned away, so the GP is available for them if they want to first pick that. Of course, we could
That's why they banned the Karma, is because they're expecting a first pick GP. SKTelecom.
Just see the Gnar yet again for Duke, if that's going to be the case. He will dominate in that 1v1 matchup in the top lane, much like he did in the last game versus the Echo, so it's still going to be really risky if somebody wants to pick that up first and foremost.
I mean, it's either an R for a GP first pick here. KT is either going to try and punish that matchup in the 1v1 with Duke.
Take Rek'Sai?
No. Gragas is still available. It's not the champions that have been the problem. I really don't agree with this. I think the Rek'Sai is not... We've seen great... What Blake is like 9-1 on Gragas.
Oh, they lock it in.
But he's been desperately poor on Gragas, and there are far more mechanics on it. So I think they're trying to get Blank off his comfort zone because you can play both sides of the Gnar versus GP matchup, and Someday has been excellent on Gnar. I agree that it's a risk, but that's the risk KT chooses.
I think this is very odd from KT.
Oh, they're going to go for it. I mean, like Papa and Smithy was saying, like, even with that massive win rate for Blank on the Gragas, it's kind of in spite of his own performance. SKTelecom really bringing those games back around, despite how poorly he's playing in the early games. Going to be a nice early snatch up on the Tom Kent cheer for SKTelecom, though. They'll get the Sivir for Bang yet again, so going back to that pick from game 1.
Now we're looking for KT to show us an identity. The Rek'Sai, obviously the all-rounder from the jungle. Sivir Tom Kent, so not necessarily a powerful 2v2, but we know how that lane will act in the late game. Also, the Tom Kent can be insurance for a more risky mid lane pick for Faker, which may be possible with the last pick. Could also be insurance for a Gangplank if we don't see Gangplank taken in this rotation by KT.
I think they're going to go for the Gnar maybe and try and punish Duke in the 1v1 if he is going to take the Gangplank in response.
But we've already seen it so many times this season. Duke get triple solo killed in lane by even the likes of ADD and then come back as Gangplank. We know how strong 2-item Gangplank is, and that was always the story, but the 2 items are much cheaper, so even if you die in lane, you'll pick up the farm eventually, and you'll power through.
Well, looks like it will be Gnar, so no Gangplank coming through for Someday. He's going to try his hand at this, and then it will be Jhin for Arrow, something that we thought we were going to see from the get-go, now coming in here at game 3.
So they're taking the Jhin even without the Maokai ban because of the Gnar-Maokai matchup, so at least they can win in that matchup in the lane, which became increasingly punishing for the Gnar, in favor of the Gnar against the Maokai.
And Gangplank will very swiftly be picked up alongside the Gragas for Blank.
And of course you take the Gragas, because Gragas has one of the most reliable interrupts to the curtain call. It's been Jhin Gragas so often for KT. Now they actually have that extra tool, and it's not that much fun channeling the curtain call on top of the Gangplank ult either. And now the question is KT. We're looking for the mid lane. We're looking for support.
You get the flash over the Yasuo here. Be pretty bold of Fly to go ahead and lock that one in. It looks like they might be exploring a couple different options.
I think it has to be Victor. It's the safest blind pick mid laner they could take.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to grab the Victor here. It also provides even more zone control to protect the Jhin. Aurelion Sol is actually okay here too. If he wants to go for it, it does help protect the Jhin, and they're going to play mid lane Echo.
Okay. We haven't seen a mid lane Echo in quite some time.
It's not a denial pick away from the top lane because Gangplank's already drafted on the side of SKT. Really intriguing to see. Of course, the AP ratios have been consistently buffed for a very long time, but it's still a melee mid laner that needs ability power to start getting the wave clear down because the base value is quite low on the Q. And speaking of punishing mid laners, guess what? Cassiopeia is pretty good at punishing melee mid lane.
It's also Faker's most undefeated champion. He's 6-0 on that.
That's fun that he can have that stat, that title.
Most undefeated, yes. He has quite a few of them, but now that his Zed was taken out recently, it's Cassiopeia is 6-0. That's the most wins he has on an undefeated champ.
And look, you already are going to just put down the poison and punish, considering changing to the buffed Kassadin.
This is something that we talked about on Monday with 6:15 first coming in, was that Kassadin very well could make a return. It looks like it's going to be locked in, so we're going to get to see Faker on Kassadin.
I actually think this is a great pick. I'm surprised we haven't seen Kassadin sooner, but against especially the Bard and the Jhin. Like, if this Kassadin gets fed, he's going to one-shot the Bard before Bard can do anything, and Arrow will just be a sitting duck in the back lines as well. Now, SKTelecom, not the tankiest team composition, but if you want late-game damage, this is going to be it in spades. So Fly and Score are going to have to work together early to shut down Faker, and we'll see if they can actually accomplish that goal.
I mean, the magic damage shield is going to make you so safe in the mid lane against the Echo in particular. I just can't see the assassinations coming through. Now they have a Rek'Sai, so pre-6, maybe you can get some work done.
It honestly depends what this build is going to be from this Echo. I don't know if, do we know for sure that this is going to be a pure AP build? It could be a Sheen build, and in that case, actually, it could be punishing with the Tiamat from the Rek'Sai.
When we saw mid lane Echo last season, it was Sarsen, and he did go Iceborne Gauntlet, which was the tank build at the time. Trinity Force also would do decent damage to Kassadin, but then why Echo mid as a blind pick? Kind of has to be
it does overload you in physical damage, but we'll have to see. Maybe this will be an adaptation as a result of the Kassadin pickup.
Drake will be the starting Dragon here. SKTelecom fans certainly excited, as they are potentially about to witness SKTelecom earning their way to yet another final in LCK.
And the World Championship too. Doesn't stop there. This is a very important game for SKT. You get that guarantee of spending their...
Do you feel the victory, Monty?
I am not feeling KT's victory today at this stage of the game. And as we take a look and listen to something... well, Faker is 8-2 all-time on Kassadin.
And Kassadin this patch had the couple of buffs. Now, maybe level 1 on the Q has been nerfed, but does quickly get to a higher value just on the damage on Q, and then less mana cost on the E. Mana cost synergizes with damage because you can potentially get those extra ults in on the Kassadin. So, multiple different ways Kassadin, even more of a late-game terror on 6:15, and was seeing play in other regions already.
Looking for a possible disruption there. No Gromp kill going to be coming through for SKTelecom. Someday, looking like he's going to try and get... Looks like he was attempting to just get a little bit of an XP advantage from a...
Get some Narbar at least, I guess.
Yeah, not going to
looks like
get a whole lot.
Building up the bar there. Didn't actually kill either of the Blue Sentinels.
Score starting down on this strong side of the map, so he'll be all right. Go over to the Krugs, then work his way up through the red buff by the look of it. I'm sure if he'll want to go for any invasive plays on this Rek'Sai, but we'll see how Blank is going to fare now back onto this Gragas. He hasn't been able to get his hands on for these first 2 games. Has been going on the Rek'Sai. Game 1, a bit rough, but game 2, he brought it back in a very big way, and as you mentioned, Monty, pretty much deserved the MVP. Kind of got robbed out on that one.
Yeah, the question here is what's going to happen, because KT should theoretically win all 3 of these lanes. They've got very good early lane matchups. They switched into a super powerful 2v2 lane in the Jhin and the Bard together for early damage to try and...
Oh boy, Johnny. You spotted out Wolf coming in from behind. To be able to get those Dax ends and Devour off, probably. He's level 1, so I guess he doesn't have it. Just noticed that. So Johnny will be safe, but had Wolf been level 2, that probably would have been a very dead Bard.
I don't think he would have got in there if Tom gets his level 2. But, yep, taking advantage of having that extra ability onto the Bard early on. Fly actually taking a good chunk of harassment here early.
Yeah, go back in. Faker will take a little bit because of those minions.
The wave's actually in a really good spot for Faker. Managed to freeze it mostly outside his turret, so even though there's a lot of threat from Rek'Sai pre the Rift Walk coming through from Kassadin, Blank's there to relieve that pressure and just allow Faker to get through to levels.
So like Score, he'll be able to get the sole position of that Scuttle Crab, so Blank's not going to go into the fight, but Yeah, Fly taking a beating so far in that mid lane. Figure the Corrupting Potion's going to be quite all right. We'll see where he wants to go with the build. I would guess that it's probably just the Catalyst of Aeons into that Rod of Ages standard.
Yeah. I think it'll certainly be a Rod.
Oh, Bang going to get locked down, slowed up by that Cosmic Binding. Takes a hell of a lot of damage. The Ignite taking, not going to be able to finish him off. Arrow will get stunned up, but just one more hit from that Jhin would have done it, but they're not able to get in and find that first blood.
The Maokai pick in game 1 really denied Arrow from taking Jhin. Finally, 3 games in, he gets the Jhin that he looked outstanding on against Samsung. He was immaculate on the use of his full rotation, Deadly Flourish included. The Curtain Call was outstanding as well, so he finally finds a spot for it. We know that in the late game there are the interrupts. The Kassadin has a lot of kill pressure, but the laning phase already going a lot better for KT as they're going to try onto Duke as well.
Score looking for it. Flash away from Duke, but the flash onto him with the Unboro is there for Score, and that will be first blood coming through for KT, making some moves happening, or getting some moves to happen there, and that's going to be first blood for them. So already changing things up from game 2. Didn't pay any visits to that top lane. Score comes in, and wouldn't you know it, they get first blood.
Yeah, this is what they need. They need to turn these side lanes, these winning side lanes, into advantages early, into turrets, into gold. And Fly, he's going to be able to be there because as soon as he hits 6, he'll be able to use his Chrono Break just to get back into lane, and his TP should be up to make plays, while Faker is going to have to follow from pretty far behind without a teleport of his own. So KT needs to just play away from Faker this entire game. That has to be the way that they win.
But I think SKT, given that they've chosen 3 losing lanes, the one that you're most okay with falling behind is top lane, because it doesn't allow KT to get as much pressure around the early Drakes that SKT have been picking up. Now, they're still trying to make an aggressive move into the enemy jungle to get a Wolf Steal away, at least.
We'll get that Faker now coming out from above. They'll take the Magical Journey out, get a little bit of damage off of that even. Now, Wolf arriving. They might be looking for the play. The Body Slam coming through from Blank. They're trying to get onto Score. He takes a hell of a lot of damage. The Ignite coming through from Faker. Is it enough to take him down? Looks like he will live just barely with any HP left. Tachani going low, gets slowed up by the Kassadin, the Q, the Null Sphere. Not enough to finish him off. He makes it over the wall, and he will stay alive for the time being. So no kills coming through for SKTelecom. KT gets in sole possession of that. Someday trying to get onto Duke.
Did he miss skill? He doesn't have the Gnar ultimate available. He missed skill.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's a big mistake.
That's really uncharacteristic.
That could have been a kill there for Someday, especially since he has his flash advantage.
Took a second point in W when he went for the pounce, and instead didn't have ult skill.
Oh, that is...
You don't have the space to do that in a game like this, Monty.
Outplayed. Duke clearly the better laner.
I mean, look, Someday certainly has been a bit haphazard this week, and that's just a mistake. And yeah, no one else to sugarcoat it. Big mistake that costs him a kill.
Yeah.
Definitely could have been a kill there.
Because there was nothing else to gain. The teleport was already down. The flash was already down. Yeah. So he literally gains nothing out from that other than just losing out. Again, a barrage will be used by Duke. Clear out this wave. Someday going to stick around to pick up these minions and then back off himself. And both of these guys will be running back into lane. So far, KT in a bit of a better spot with that first blood. Going to be up by 800 gold, but still nothing too crazy. Call start coming through from Bang. And he's been keeping up pretty nicely with Arrow. Not a whole lot of action happening in the bottom side of the map, so he should be relatively okay to go ahead and just stack that up.
Now, one thing KT has to do this game is at least control the early breaks. They've been falling down in that regard throughout this entire series so far, but when they've got these winning matchups and they have more globals, that's something that they absolutely have to get done. Duke didn't feel bad about dropping his cannon barrage because Fly had to use his TP because he was forced out of lane before level 6 on that last skirmish. So it was okay to just drop that a little bit early. He wasn't going to need it to answer any kind of ganks that Fly would have elsewhere on the map.
We need to stress that that's the minimum, Monty, because we talk about how KT have the pressure in all lanes. The converse is that SKT kind of outscale in all 3 lanes as well. So it's, it's more about getting the turrets, getting the Drakes. The minimum is to get 1. Honestly, given how much they'll be outscaled, the minims, they kind of have to monopolize every objective in the early game. And losing out on a kill top, that could have been a 2-0 Gnar, or at least a 1-0-1 Gnar, is a heavy price, given just how much SKT's scaling advantage is.
Faker not getting that blue buff, actually.
Arrow?
Blown away by Blank. That's going to be the current call opening up here for Arrow. Gets the shots through. Wolf to block that. The 4th one comes in. He's going to be all right. Still has a little bit of shield available as well.
Yeah, this has to turn into a Drake, though.
Yeah, that's the flashes down there in the bottom lane. Members of SKTelecom and Fly pushing in. Going to try to get some vision. Score comes into the back through the magical journey. They're going to be looking for it. Blank goes for it. He's going to get locked down. The W coming in. He knocks him away with the explosive cast. The Wolf already falls. Blank goes down as well. 2 kills picked up for KT. And that very well could be that dragon. Several members low. Faker roaming down. He's spotted out by that ward. They take the magical journey out. Not going to be able to get onto the dragon yet, as they just take too much damage, but still nice kills picked up by KT. They're going to stretch that lead to 1.7 thousand.
I actually think you don't go for the kills there. I think you go for the Drake. Get the early Mountain Drake so that you can transform these winning lanes into faster towers and get your gold that way instead. The dive is fine, but at the end of the day, they don't actually get objectives out of it. Healthy gold lead for KT, but I think the Drake is just worth it because you want to... And bear with me, the Mountain Drake helps you take the towers quicker. And if you can get those towers quicker with the relative lack of wave clear coming through from SKTelecom, at least in the mid lane, you can go ahead, move those towers down, and then you can snowball Drakes because you're only so many Drakes that KT is going to have access to in the early game. And taking one at 9 minutes, I think, and accelerating that process before this GP comes online is very valuable.
I agree with you. I don't know if it would have been safe to take the Drake. To some degree, you would have had a numbers advantage, but Ricochet, Aston with Ignite, there's some risk to it, so they went for the guaranteed kill. One other thing I want to notice is that I'm going to see a spicy build coming through from Flyers. I think this is going to be...
A Proto Belt.
Yeah, Proto Belt coming through on the Echo. That's a new one.
All of the dashes, so he'll have that phase dive and the Proto Belt to create some distance, or reduce the amount of distance between him and somebody else on the enemy team. It's going to help him chase down Faker a bit more, who has that rip walk, speaking of which. Has to get out underneath that tower, takes a little bit of damage, but overall he's going to be quite all right. So the charge of the Corrupting Potion Bank getting jumped on, slowed up by that Cosmic Blinding. The Devour comes through from Wolf, but the Curtain Call opens up. They're looking for Bang. Score wrapping around the backside. Should be dead either way. Bard ultimate will catch him. Arrow just waiting for the one shot. Oh my God! Bends the bullet around Wolf. Comes up with the kill, and now Wolf. That is one dead catfish. Fly finds the killing blow. That should be the first tower as well, going over to KT Rolster off the backside of that play. Man, what a shot. The Korean sniper is back in town.
Man, that was perfect on the timing coming out of the stasis. Right on the edge of the hitbox.
Blank getting locked up. W not going to connect as he flashes away, so he'll stay alive for the time being. But man, KT, they are just putting their foot down on the accelerator of this game.
Well, that said, though, again, the scaling from SKT cannot be denied. Yes, it's a huge lead, but this can vanish very quickly if SKTelecom is given enough time to get into the late game.
And if you notice the one objective they continue to not pick up, they get the first brick, they take that first tower, but they still don't pick up a Drake. KT have been so immaculate on the early game in games 1 and now game 3, but continue to look past the Drake. That again has kind of been their story, is wait for this last shot.
Such a small window.
That was, it could not have been more perfect.
It was about a 1/10 of a Teemo to get past that comprehension. He did it.
That was a beautiful shot coming in from Arrow. I mean, he got to show off these Jhin skills 2 days ago. He's going to do it again here in this third game. And right now, KT, a pretty substantial lead for 12 minutes, looking pretty strong. Haven't been able to pick up that Mountain Drake yet, but did get that first turn of the game. If they can keep the ball rolling, we very well could have an actual series on our hands instead of a 3-0 shutout by SKTelecom.
And getting Duke away from the tanks that can really deny picks like Kog'Maw and the Jhin, I think has been really helpful, because Gangplank is potential fodder for a fed Jhin in teamfights.
5-0 would be a really nice way to kick things off.
Proto Belt Echo, here we go.
All right, yep, hasn't completed. It's going to go in for a bit of a trade onto Faker, who's just going to jump back. Still working on that Rod of Ages for him. Has the Dark Seal as well, but hasn't been able to get any stacks on that, as he hasn't been able to participate in any kills. SKTelecom has none.
Well, this is the most frustrating lane a jungle could ever gank. Proto Belt Echo and a Caston. You're just like, oh, you can handle it. I'm all right. I'm not going to gank.
You guys are in it for the 1v1. Score roaming up top. He's going to find Blank in the brush. Someday looking for that transformation. So likely would have had a dive on our hands there, but seeing the Gragas, it's all right. Report the admission. We'll back off.
It's just, what is the par here for KT? How far ahead do they need to be? I can't even think of a number where you're feeling comfortable as KT. Is it 10,000 gold at 20 minutes?
I think with the state the Gangplank is in currently and the amount of damage in the late game his armor penetration build can do, that there isn't a number big enough. I mean, we've seen games with Gangplanks that are winning team fights with right underneath their Nexus turrets at 20,000 gold down. So for me, that number can't be large enough. You can never underestimate what Gangplank's going to do to you at 40 minutes into the game.
If there's a world where Arrow continues to outscale his opponent or gets multiple armor penetration items early, it doesn't really matter if Kassadin is able to one burst him, if you just start the fight getting 2, getting 3, and Jin just dying incidentally afterwards. So there's something to be said about going for that armor penetration build, really applying pressure. Again, game 1 and game 3 have gone pretty much the same at the start. It's just, can KT get the more difficult objectives after picking up the first? Because it seems like Drake is just not something they even consider.
Yeah, already 14 and a half minutes in here, the Mount Drake's still going to be standing. So neither team has been able to make any moves early on to that. KT still going to have that innate advantage. You can see some wards coming through from Wolf as he wraps through the river, but overall the vision is going to be severely lacking in that bottom side of the map. Shawnee roaming into mid with Score, so going to create a little bit of pressure here. Overall, they're just letting Arrow farm up this CS in mid, while Fly keeps splitting in the bot lane.
But this is the problem. What you see on the screen, Gangplank, he's got his ultimate available to help out if there's a play, and he's also picking up minion waves. If you're pushing minion waves into Kassadin and Gangplank, it doesn't matter what your 5 champions are, you're losing the game.
Yeah. Got to keep the ball rolling on those advantages, and
that's Trinity Force.
Even though they push out the bottom lane and get Kassadin in a favorable situation, they don't have anybody in place to take this Drake. I mean, they just sent their 80 carry support and mid laner all back, so Score's going to try and solo this, but it's like he'll be able to get it. I'm a bit confused about the whole KT Drake control situation in this series because it's been lackluster.
Any other top team would be a minute away from taking their second Drake, or actually taking their second Drake, and the value of a Drake late game, if it was to be an Infernal spawn, if it was to be the Cloud Drake, which can actually be pretty important at opening distance or catching a target with the likes of Echo, can really catch up.
Well, it's just been
there it is.
Bloodthirsty set, and it will be an Infernal coming in. They're really just going to cater to that playstyle. Score getting jumped on by Faker. Gets slowed up so he can't go in for a knock-up, trying to set something up for Fly, but now the roam up the top here from Hachani, getting onto Duke, building up that Narbar, going to be taking it out already. The Abyssal Voyage is there from Wolf to save his Gangplank's life, so he will be quite alright to throw out that Cannon Barrage, however.
So it's looking like Lichbane's second coming through from Fly, so will be a strong split push build, going to be tricky to lock down. New build, absolutely, but a cool one to track.
Yeah, for sure. Coming into the bottom lanes, just going to be splitting across against Faker here, who has garnered a bit of a significant lead, as he's slightly over 30 CS above. This Echo in mid, Score coming over the wall, get the flash out of Wolf. They throw out the Bard ultimate.
Really deep.
Yeah, pretty risky. The W not going to connect. They open up with a curtain call, but I think you kind of just cancel this one out, and Arrow will after firing off one shot, so he'll get the refund coming through. And Bang shows up in mid, so let's just go ahead and peel back.
KT really trying to get deep into the enemy jungle and force this GP off the turret so they can take it right now.
Still pretty healthy.
Yeah, it is still pretty healthy. Yeah. Sunday transforming at a not very ideal time if he wants to continue to put damage down onto the tower.
Score with a nice takeaway there on the Krug. Snipe that one away from Blank, and they can't get the top tower, but they'll hit this one in the mid. Arrow has that Youmuu's completed, has that extra damage onto the structure with that 4th shot. They'll be able to knock it down, so can't make the proactive play that they want to in the top, but they make up for it in mid. Now Blank getting jumped on, he just absolutely vanishes. The crit coming through from Arrow just pops him down, and this is looking a little bit more like game 1.
I gotta say that the Rek'Sai takeaway is looking better and better because the map sense that Blank had with the Rek'Sai Tremor Sense seems to be trumped with the map sense. Even if you're Gragas with all that mobility, he's certainly not been the same Blank this game that he was in game 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, now curtain call opening up, they're going to try to get on the Wolf. Fire off, get a little bit of damage in, but can't really find a kill.
Also worth noting, though, it's not just about the champion. I'm less convinced than you are, Papa Smithy, because it is hard to jungle when you have so much pressure on your lanes. And that is the composition that SKTelecom has intentionally opted into. So part of it may be that, but part of it is definitely the fact that KT made an adaptation from Sivir-Taric, which is just bad at laning, into Bard Jhin, which presents so much pressure in a 2v2.
But consider this same draft with Rek'Sai. You're still going to have the same mind of defensively covering bad lanes, and you're going to have more information to do it safely. So I think the Rek'Sai fits the draft of SKT better. Is it the actual game breaker? It's obviously hard to say conclusively, but I think it's contributed to KT because even Score looks more comfortable on the Rek'Sai.
Certainly is a impacting factor here for KT's success. 6-0, and now going to be up pretty heftily. See the very aggressive build coming out from Score as he's just going to be looking to complete that Hydra here.
Everyone's squishy on the side of SKT, so kill them now before all the items come in, and that's a much more difficult proposition.
Yeah. Speaking of killing them now, it's going to be Rift Herald going over to KT as they start this one up. Someday joining with his team. Yeah, he's got the Frozen Mallet completed. He can really work through Duke. See where he wants to start moving with the build path after this. Probably going to be opting in for the team fights. Or ultimate use will catch Blank and Wolf. Don't really want to follow up on that.
So this is the maximum value you can get from the Glimpse of the Void. Taking it 1930 means that buff will be persisting till 39:30. The last game ended at 25 minutes.
Oh boy, bang, way too far forward, gonna get caught out. The bullets coming through from the third call. Now Score getting knocked in with the explosive cast. They should be able to finish off the Rek'Sai. He flashes the wall, the Ignite ticking. Faker goes over with a Rift Walk and is able to take him out. So SKTelecom finally put a kill on the board. Now Johnny in a bad spot, taking a bit of damage. Faker's gonna go in deep, gets rooted down, but no, the Devourer is there from Wolf to save his life. But now SKTelecom can't really go for that tower, so they'll find the pick. Nothing more, but they are able to save Bang's life in the end.
I don't know if Fly has the ward coverage to actually push aggressively into an inner turret, so he'll back away. SKT will match the mid lane turret, take it down. Killing a turret, there's a TP.
That's going to be the double TP coming through. Fly and Someday both arriving. No Narbar built up as Someday gets on a Wolf, but he should be able to work him down very quickly. The Devourer will come through, but one more hit will do it. There it is. Pretty much the solo kill coming in for the Gnar now. That's going to be the Void Rush coming through from Score as they look for Faker. He's wrapping around the backside. Tunnel system comes through. Faker, no flash available. Trying to Rift Walk as best as he can. Yeah, they're really committed for this. Fly coming in. Don't think you're going to catch him, guys. Just back off and take something else like that top tier 1.
Yeah, actually the top tier, or the bottom tier 2 had already vanished, so Fly split pushing had been successful at adding more gold.
They're going to trade 1 for 1 on this.
Yeah, Duke is going to back off, see if they get another tier 1, so it would be 2 tier 1s here for SKTelecom, and only 1 for KT, plus they committed 2 TPs to only kill Wolf.
So overall, pretty much the best case scenario there for SKT.
Yeah, definitely. It actually ended up really good for SKT.
So KT just going a bit too ham, trying to catch that very elusive Kassadin. And see, Baker's going to match with the Lich Bane in his inventory as well.
And there was no way they could do a Baron off of that either. Just absolutely no way. Not in 20 minutes, KT making the right call. They tried to get Faker. They at least got a tier 1 off of that. Unfortunately, Duke already in the split push is able to answer back, but they don't have a tank. With the way the Score has built, with the fact that they have Hachani here on a Bard and Someday with a Frozen Mallet, like the threat of Kassadin coming over and just deleting your entire team is too high.
Well, pretty tankiness when you have damage. That's going to be Score looking to solo out the Dragon yet again. It'll be a Mountain and Infernal on for KT. Rolster now Someday arriving. There's no way for SKT to get in here. That will go over to them, so that 8% stat up coming through. Call opening up here for Johnny, looking for some damage in onto Blank and Wolf.
Watch this damage.
It's going to be on the hunt pop here for Bang, so they're able to trade ult for ult between the 80 carries.
To clarify, Arrow is massive. He has 2 damage items. There's no one with any semblance of armor on the side of SKT. Everyone is fodder to the curtain call. So SKT, they need Faker. He's the one who is the least accountable in terms of position. He's the one that needs to be able to stop that channel of the curtain call, otherwise Arrow's going to have a field day in these fights.
Oh, Blank going forward, gets a pop in on the Score. They bounce him back. Bard ultimate comes through. It's only going to catch the Rek'Sai, who's now in a bit of a rough spot. Takes a hell of a lot of damage. Cannon Barrage thrown down. He's going to go back in, knocks up Blank. Is able to find the kill before he dies. That will be the 1 for 1. But it puts a kill on the Bang, which is going to be a bit worrisome if you're KT.
But you don't get that 1-for-1, and Baron is a realistic objective for SKT. Now, it didn't have teleport. That's the absolute best case scenario for KT Rolster after the start. Someday we'll just apply pressure them back.
See, Bang now has enough to complete that rapid fire cannon, so the items are starting to come into the Sivir. Should be seeing the Infinity Edge next. So giving them that kill, definitely not what would be desired there by KT, but as you mentioned, being able to prevent the possibility of that Baron by killing Flank was definitely good for them. Someday, going to continue this split push at the bottom side. No tier 2 to really work with, so he's going to be wildly overextended. Opposite, just go ahead and clear out some wards and the jungle of SKTelecom, and then he'll back off.
Someday actually interrupting his Black Cleaver build here to start picking up some armor. I'm very curious where Fly is going to go next with this build after the Lichbane. Is he going to go for his Zhonya's Hourglass, perhaps, and try and get some additional survivability so he can really get in the back with his Proto Baker?
They're going to get lockdown score coming around the side. That's going to be the Devour in from Wolf as they try to get out the last couple shots of the curtain call. Not going to be able to connect as they get out of that cone. But Faker and Wolf go pretty low. They'll make it out alive, but that's the flash down on the top catch.
Now, Zhonya's is to go back to the build, Zhonya's is such a good item on Echo because it allows your Shadow to catch back up so you can actually deal damage with Chrono Break. So I hope that's what we're going to be seeing as a possible next item from Fly.
Right now he's got that split push going on, so he'll be able to stick around. One more hit will do it. There it is. So another tier 2 going down. Just the one in mid still standing for SKTelecom. Outside of that, it's all just inhibitors. So their base has definitely been getting steadily cracked over and over again. 5-2 in the turret count. Those dragons are really starting to help out for KT.
And even though the item build and the approach of the Kassadin and Echo are quite similar, the big difference is the teleport. Faker took Ignite for lane control, extra kill pressure, a bit of oomph early to get him snowballing, but Fly has played the map and taken 2 inner turrets for free, and then was also there for the teleport collapse, so similar playstyle, but Fly's winning out him. We were looking for Fly to step up and make moves around the map. I was thinking more in the gank sense, but in the map pressure sense, he's definitely dictating game 3.
Well, I think that's been Fly's biggest strength all season, has been Fly's ability to put down pressure with these kind of champions that do have a lot of global presence. And we're seeing it in a new form here. It's certainly something KT's been working with, because this is the surprise pick for KT. They've been pushed to the limit. They have to show everything that they've got. And they pull out the Echo.
It was slowing down on damage. We noticed though, Monty, we wondered about the next item. He has been a Banshee Veil 3rd Aurelian Soul for the longest time.
On the arrow, Faker's going to go in deep. Boomerang Blade not going to connect. They throw out the Fort Ultimate. It's not going to find anybody though. Curtain call coming through. Faker going low. There it is. Fly jumps forward, finishes him off with that Proto Bell. Wolf is going to go down as well. Arrow able to snipe out for the kill. Someday gets popped back in by Blank, but just not close enough. No one on SKTelecom can finalize that kill. And now KT starting to cheat up towards the Baron. Still way too low and too early for them to find that objective, but another 2 kills picked up.
But that's part of the problem with KT's composition here, is that, yes, they're doing so well. They've managed to open up a 5,000 gold lead, but at the end of the day, SKTelecom, they just get more time because KT can never actually go for a Baron. So even if SKT is losing, even if they are behind 5K, they still have scaling, and KT doesn't have enough ways to punish them.
Faker just getting way too aggressive. We've seen this from time and time again. Just can't really taper it off. Fly with a good jump through, using the Proto Belt into the face side to find that kill.
Look, we really don't know the damage ranges of full AP Echo. It's not going to be full AP. There'll be some tankiness, as you can tell by the completed Banshee Veil, but this Echo is doing a lot of work so far, as Monty says, until we see some armor items from both the Gnar and the Rex side. Baron is, for now, an objective too far for KT, and they already had a game 1 where they got to a point but couldn't actually kill the game. Difference here is they do have 2 Drakes.
Well, they're working on it. It's going to be the Guardian Angel coming in for Someday. You can see he has that. Oh, wow, big chase.
Well, Faker has to run.
Yeah, Faker definitely has to get out of dodge here. Still has those rip walks coming through, but now Johnny's arriving. They lock down Wolf into the root. He has to pop the shield already. Devour is going to spit out Faker, who's going to keep trying to run. Looks like he might be able to make it out. Fly going to dash forward, finds the kill. Curtain call opened up, will be canceled immediately. Wolf's going to go down, and KT now off of that play very damn well could make a play on Baron.
Worth noting that the Gangplank is level 16 with ultimate, so there will be an answer here from SKT. Do have Smite available as well.
They're going to set this one up. They spot out Duke moving in from below, and Shawnee on the other side of the wall. He's looking to run interrupt on Blank. The pressure's down. Barrage comes through. KT looking for the turn. They catch Bang with the Bard ultimate. He's got no flash, no way to get out. He gets locked down and he will fall. Arrow puts another one on the board. Now 13-2 for KT. They go right back over to Baron.
Only Blank can go for the heroics. Is spotted out. There should be some goalkeeping from KT. Will be someday.
Someday and Hachani both moving over the wall, looking for that stun if necessary. Blank's just trying to juke him out, find a way back in. Duke's arriving. Fly and score. Pretty damn low. They will be able to finalize the Baron. Blank goes in, can't get the smite. He's going to fall for it. Now Duke, Faker, and Wolf, they're back. Several members of KT are low, but they just can't find the fight. KT are just going to keep profiting now with an almost 10,000 gold lead.
That was a sloppy Baron, though, from KT. Blank actually got the smite off in that little engagement. Score didn't smite at all, and Fly was the one who picked it up. That could have easily gone south for KT Rolster, but they get away with it.
I mean, they had a one-man investment to try and stop Gragas, but then the second man peeled away, and Gragas still had flash up, so many different ways to close a different distance onto the Baron. So the goalkeeping I spoke about, brittle, but it was just enough. They get the Baron, but it could have gone oh so wrong. The Baron there to SKT, that's enough time to really force the scaling and probably win the game.
KT now going to be shoving down this mid lane. You can see just how quickly the towers get taken with the help of that mountain drink. So last tier 2, the last outer tower gets knocked down. And they are just still advancing on towards that 10,000 plus gold lead over top of SKTelecom. KT looking much more cohesive. We weren't sure how they were going to be playing coming into Game 3 after getting smashed out in Games 1 and 2. And they're turning it around in a big way.
That's what's so great about best of fives, right? You could really see the adaptation. KT taking a very different approach, not banning the GP, early picking the Gnar.
All right, let's open up with the curtain call. Bang going to eat one of those bullets with a spell shield, but that's going to give KT the in onto this tower, and it is just melting under the pressure. Arrow just holding onto those last couple shots so he can throw it off. Duke takes a really big burst of damage from that fourth and final bullet. That will be the inhibitor going down. KT, the wave's not really prepped, so they can't just rotate up easily and try to get these remaining inhibitor towers, but looks like they're going to be moving over to this top side of the map and try to get something done. Recall going to be interrupted by Score. He's just going to stick around for the time being. But
KT have played to their win conditions really well. We thought maybe they weren't doing it fast enough, but so far it made me a believer of the Jhin and mid lane Echo duo, because both are doing exactly what they need to. Fly's played the map really efficiently. One inhibitor down, they're looking for another inhibitor turret.
Yep. SKTelecom going to be holding on to this as best as they can. The minion wave in mid. Still about halfway there, so the pressure on the Nexus towers isn't going to be present for a little bit more time.
They need a curtain call to shoot through it. Basically, it's curtain call into structure take has been the play style from KT Rolster.
Can't tell exactly how long is left on that. Faker, ooh, wow, barely inches out away from that Bard ultimate, so not going to get caught.
It was optimistic from the Bard. I think you hold on to the ult there. I don't think they had the damage around to actually kill the Castan anyway, and now Bard ultimate's down.
He had flash up, he could have just jumped over the wall there. So yeah, definitely a bit too optimistic by Hachani. It's already a quarter off cooldown, so he'll have it fairly soon. Arrow still can't tell how far out he is on that. As that SE spectator bug, there it is.
Lichbane.
Curtain call comes back up, and yeah, Lichbane is doing some work. Tower will go down under the pressure from these minions. So Fly just dashes forward, gets onto this in him, and that's just going to be KT bleeding out SKTelecom.
The super minions were actually dragged into the bottom lane there. That was a little bit weird.
Yeah, oh, Johnny. He's going to get engaged on, gets over the wall with that magical journey, but this tower has suffered heavily. A couple more hits here from Arrow will be able to finish it off. Fly throws out the parallel convergence, just trying to push back SKTelecom as much as he possibly can.
Let there be no ambiguity. They're way ahead here, KT, but one ace for SKT. The ability to team fight can't be denied.
Oh, while they go in onto Someday, Score jumps into the back line, looking for Faker, and he's going to be able to kill him. Indeed, Someday goes in, ults back flank. They finish him off. Arrow finds the kill. Hachani hanging on by a thread, makes it out of the cannon barrage, so he will live to fight another day, and that's going to be all three inhibitors going down. 40 seconds on Faker, 30 on flank. This is going to be KT ending the game at 32.5 minutes. Fly dashing forward, pop up on the Duke, flashes away, tries to get into the fountain, will get clipped by the Bard ultimate. It's just buying time for KT Rolster to finish off these structures. And the dream's alive. We have a series on our hands, gentlemen. SKTelecom, they're going to go down in Game 3, and KT put one on the board.
It's going to be now. Watch the Nexus health. Remember, KT's very low.
That's true. Arrow's actually really chunked out. Wolf going to be looking for. They might not be able to. Now, yeah, they got it. Okay.
Lichbane, Mountain Drake. Yeah, that's going to chunk it out. So, wow, KT, smooth play.